It's not a challenge that I expected to find running this channel. But, yeah, alright. In fairness, there's fucking Aiken and all that shit that we had to do as well. Probably had the same problem. So, Fandom Flux podcast. Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Oh, hey.
Hey. I can't believe we're here.
I probably shouldn't have started. My brain is still kind of frazzled from that was a good laugh I just had. Fun. It's a good moment.
So, as we do, we just finished the Fandom Flux Random A Discord, or Random A part
Anime
of our
Reflex.
show. That's it. And
we rolled a 69.
yeah, and
The
got a very
most appropriate 69.
Yeah.
Also, for mentioning
Oh, boy.
69s, goodbye monetization. Not that we could have anyway, but you know, fucking YouTube.
Not that we do.
Yeah. Well, we might actually now because YouTube does that without permission for the smaller channels.
Yeah, I hate that.
Wait, it does what?
All small channels that can't be like monetized for the sake of the person running the channel, YouTube just monetizes them anyway and just takes all the money.
Great. Okay, that's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Oh well, that's a thing that it does. We'll just have to talk about, like, I don't know, masturbation in every episode of everything we do, and they just won't be able to.
That's a good point.
I don't want to. I'd really rather not.
Okay. Tell you what. I have the perfect solution to this.
What?
Feminism. Homosexuality. Gay sex. Okay, I think we're good.
There we go.
The gays.
Controversial topics.
YouTube is a cesspool.
Yeah.
So.
Transgress our human rights.
Yeah. So, this is the Fandom Flux podcast. It's starting a little differently to usual, but oh well. Yeah, I'm Casey. How's it going? And Zero's here.
Hi, everybody.
And Slice is here.
Hello. Do we have a section to move on to? It's kind of a sudden drop. And
We're going to enjoy each other's presence for a moment, I think.
Okay, so I was considering whether to just continue the joke with the fucking YouTube being awful and just, like, trying to start a really stupidly lewd conversation, but nah, fuck it, who cares? Also, copious swearing. We need to do that too.
in
I'd
the
rather
first
not.
minute of the episode. Apparently.
Yeah. So, I bought a thing today.
What'd you buy?
What'd you buy?
It was a product that I saw being used by a very delightful personality who is fun and enjoyable to watch and not real. So Gargura inspired me to purchase Ring Fit Adventure.
Oh yeah, Ring Fit. Yeah.
That game looks stupid and awesome in the best ways.
Good.
I mean, yeah, I need to exercise more, and this will probably encourage me to do that. I can't say it'll make me, but it'll encourage me to do that because it looks fun. The one problem with exercise is that it's not fun in any way, shape, or form. But the game's villain is a gym rat dragon and that is awesome.
All right.
Yeah, he's just fucking there doing his 5x5 and all that shit and flexing on you regularly. Like, not even kidding, he just straight up flexes on you to assert dominance.
Well, all right then.
And then there was this, which is a quote I adore for being so stupid and goofy and so unashamed of it.
A smoothie blend of kale and punishment.
Yeah.
Also,
it is entirely possible to pull a Vegeta and do squats all over the enemy's faces. That is literally a thing. You have to lay on your back and like do like knee to chest presses, and the motion kicks out your feet to attack the enemy.
All right.
I love everything about this, and I kind of can't wait. I'm so down for this.
It seems like very wacky fun. I like it.
Yeah, so that was a fun thing to watch. Most of I haven't finished watching it, but I will absolutely
I've
be
been
going
wanting to
right
actually
back
go
to
and watch that one.
It looks so goddamn cool. It's not something you think about for exercise games, but yeah, it is goofy fun, and I love it. Yeah, so that's a thing that I saw today that gave me something to talk about, because otherwise I've not got that much, because I'm booked wall to wall with commissions and stuff, and I've got no time, none.
You told me like the two guys were kind of like they were kind of keeping their distance, and they were like, I don't know, and then you were like, okay, I'll accept these other jobs, and then the two guys were like, now I know what I want, and then you're swarmed and just
yeah. It was like there was one guy that's like a regular commissioner. He usually like has big bulk requests, like for 20,000 words or so for every time. It's like, okay, I'll do all that and get through it and just chew through it over time. Then I finish, and I'm like, okay, what would you like me to do next? Wait a week. And he'll get back to me eventually. And after that week, and it's like, yeah, could you, I don't know. And then it'll be like, wait for another week or so. And then he'll get back to me and be like, okay, let's just do more of the other thing that we were doing before. That's, okay, fine. That's 2 weeks that I could have been doing stuff in, but fine, that's okay. And then there was the other guy who I won't speak ill of people that are giving me money. I would really appreciate it if he would maybe like settle on an idea faster, or even better, stop having an idea and having me workshop all of the idea and go through all the details, and then at the last minute change his mind to something completely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because workshopping all that stuff is also work that I'm not getting paid for. So, you know.
Yeah, a friend of mine did that several times with an artist we both know, and he's now blacklisted because it's just a giant waste of time, and it gets stressful after a while.
Yeah. If they do it again, I might have to actually say something. Be like, okay, if we could just like, you know, these commissions tend to take like multiple weeks anyway. So if you want something else done in future, maybe come to me with that like earlier, so we can keep moving along with this. Or I don't know. I don't know this person at all beyond them asking me for things. So maybe the reason is they don't want to spend the money yet and want to save it for the time being. So they're just kind of dragging their feet until they feel comfortable spending the money. That's fine. I'm running a business, though. and
Yeah,
I
it's
could have
understandable
done a
on their
commission
end.
for someone else in the meantime.
That's not fair on you.
I don't know. It could literally be anything, or they just forgot. But it can be problematic. Like, say, when I get a commission from someone else, and they say, "Hey, I have this idea. I've done all this fleshing out for it. I know exactly what I want. Would you do this for me?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, that sounds cool as hell. I'll do that." And then he comes back to me again with like, "Okay, I thought about this other thing though, that I was thinking of asking you for. Could we do this also?" And I'm like, "Okay, both of my other regular commissioners are not getting back to me, so maybe they never will." Okay, sure, I can do that. I can put you in another slot, and that's fine. We can do that. That's absolutely fine. And then the other two immediately get back to me, like within a couple days.
Yeah.
And I can't tell them no.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, you can tell them I'm booked this week, maybe next week. Like, you have to have a carrying capacity essentially as a creator.
yeah, I mean, my maximum is 4 commissions at once, which is 2 per week
That's fair.
in alternating weeks. And that's it for the word count that I'm doing for those commissions, it is stretching the bounds of feasible. Not breaking, but stretching. But I hadn't really expected to just suddenly go from just kind of plodding along with like 1 and then for like a couple of days 2
You win
commissions
0 to 60.
everything all the time. It was a lot to suddenly switch to. It was yeah. Which, that's not ideal. But, like I say, I don't want to be too disrespectful because they are giving me money and they are being perfectly reasonable, if a little inconvenient, but I haven't said anything about that either. Like, they are not required to read my mind to know what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling about what they're doing, because that's not fair on them. So it's really on me for not saying anything and trying to hurry things along. But then I worry if I try and hurry things along, they'll be like, "Okay, never mind then," and then I don't hear from them anymore, and I lose a customer.
It's a very difficult line to try to walk.
Yeah. Oh well. It is what it is. I'm going to continue working on those. Like, one of them's almost done already because he buys in 10,000 words a go. So I'm on the 3rd section of that. So it's fine. I will get that one finished this week. And then soon I get to take a break anyway because it's the holidays. I'm going to take 2 weeks because fuck it.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Christmas is going to be a thing this year. Or rather, it's mostly not going to be a thing. Like, I got in contact with my mum, let's say that for, ease of saying it sake, and asked about how we were going to handle Christmas because they're not going to go and see everyone this year. That's not going to be a thing. They are not leaving the fucking house anytime soon.
Understandable.
So basically delivering Christmas presents is also not a thing. That's not going to happen. So more or less we've decided to skip Christmas this year. More or less.
You're not the only ones. That's very common. Unless you're being really stubborn and breaking rules about it. Like, most people just,
Yeah.
Mm.
There is only one thing we're going to be doing, and that is I will be going around to my parents' house for Christmas dinner. I will be keeping my distance from my stepdad, who is fair enough. I mean, the only reason we can do that is because I've been isolating the same as they have.
That's fair.
So, yeah, that it's going to be a thing, but we take what we can get in the circumstances.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre year.
Hopefully, we're coming into the home stretch of this whole situation. For the most part, there has been very, I won't say good, but promising news on that front recently. So everything won't immediately go back to normal, but it will be.
We'll start to transition back to normal, I think. So I've had a pretty rough couple of weeks. Yeah, I didn't talk about this on the podcast. My grandfather passed away. Yeah, and so I went to the funeral, and it was nice. I gave a eulogy and everything. We went through a lot of his belongings, which my grandpa always had tons of unopened boxes of stuff. He was very, very forgetful too, so oftentimes we'd find that he would have 3 copies of the same DVD.
Ooh.
Just in like different locations, basically.
Yes. And I got this. I got from his room a very, very nice telescope.
Like a
still in the
handheld
box and everything.
telescope, or like a
Like
stationary,
a big one. He's stationary. It's like lots of cool stuff like that he just has. And my grandpa would always take all our cans and bottles, and he would put them in like this own separate trash that we would just drop that in, and he'd take that. For a long time we thought he was just trading them in, but then for a while he just started putting them more and more in his storage space and in his car. So when sorting through a lot of that, there's a lot of money to be found in recycling when it's that much. Oh my gosh. My entire family helping out with that. Also, in other news of hard weeks, my brother just got tested positive for COVID. My younger brother. And he probably had it when he had gone to the funeral.
Oh.
And we were all in a car together for 8 hours, so I'm getting a COVID test on Tuesday, and we're all getting COVID tests. Well, the good news is, in his case, it's not really that serious or anything. It's just his sense of taste is very, very weak, and his sense of smell is basically non-existent. And he has like minor cold symptoms. But yeah, and my grandma broke her hip the other day. Just everything happening. So it's been chaotic.
Yeah.
But well, all that's been happening, I've been we watched movies. I beat Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
I still haven't got that yet.
Here's what I'll say about it. It is a very, very fun game to play.
That's good.
It is also not a canon prequel.
Oh, well.
What? What? Why would they make it?
It is a story that takes place 100 years ago, and that's right. That's accurate. It takes place 100 years before Breath of the Wild. It is not a canon prequel.
Huh.
It is more accurate to think of it as a timeline branch.
Let me guess why. They let you beat Calamity Ganon in it.
They changed the ending. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, I can
for the sake of it being a
of that.
Yeah. for the sake of it being a better game, they've changed things because typically in the lore, the way all those events happen is it's over in a night. You know,
Yeah, the one big event is, it's a one-off. So
everything just ends immediately, and everything goes wrong. So for the sake of more gameplay and adding like more things that can happen, and they had to change how the game goes. That's not to say it's non-canon because a lot of the events and characters and all that is still stuff that happened from that time. You can just kind of imagine how it would have gone differently, but a lot of people are going to be disappointed when they're like, "This is not exactly what was promised to me."
hmm. Does it have a adventure mode like the old one does?
Uh, no, but it does have a ton of side missions,
Oh,
um, and other things. So it's not like the infinite mass that is Hyrule Warriors regular. But it's a relatively long game for like a Warriors game.
hmm.
I got surprised. Then again, I was also kind of going completionist and doing all the missions and everything. Lots of unexpected characters in the game that are really fun to play.
Hmm. I mean, it is basically the wait is how okay in the first Hyrule Warriors they explain it because the dimensions are literally colliding with each other. Like, what's the explanation for this? Why everyone is there?
Um, okay, so the characters are all from Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay.
There are no outside characters, but they go for like pulls like Hetsu, the guy who increases your inventory. He is a character that summons Koroks and does all sorts of things. One character is just literally all of the great fairies together
Huh.
in like one of those big bath things. He plays a gigantic character basically. Another character is the final boss of the DLC for Breath of the Wild, who is a very fun character to play as.
Oh, the monk thing, right?
Yes. So they do find characters. And they pull a lot of characters, and there's some secret characters as well. But it was very fun to play. Like having the Warriors style stuff, but with also Breath of the Wild's parries and perfect dodges. Um, Enemies having weak points, and you being creative in what moves to do to hit those weak points. Because like with Link, he can just pull out a bow and start shooting rapid fire with the regular sword and shield. But if he has a great sword out, then what he's doing is he's doing sacrifice attacks, where he sacrifices HP to power up attacks, but it's temporary damage. So as long as you don't get hit, he can just eat mid combat to get that HP back.
That doesn't
They
sound
got
bad.
what
Yeah,
was it?
I
It's yeah,
not too bad. I appreciate that every weapon set has its own different feel to it. It feels different. It's not just
yeah. Urbosa has a lightning meter that she can use to empower her strong attacks with lightning, and that fills up and she can recharge it. Mifa, when she does her strong attack, she creates a water spout, and if you use the like ZR button, she pops out of the water spout and then starts doing aerial attacks. So every character has their own unique mechanics, which I find very fun. Also, that aside, I did see it's a movie. It's called Freak. You guys hear about this?
the name sounds really familiar, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's kind of a generic name, so
Yeah, it's a recent movie. Um, it's made by the guys who made Happy Death Day.
oh, okay.
So the premise is there's this serial killer going around, and typical horror slasher movie guy, right? And our main character is this blonde-haired girl who's just like, I'm probably the first one who would die in a horror movie type thing. And like I think that says like I'd be the first. We'd be the first to die. Her and her group of friends, and she gets stabbed by this serial killer, with this like special knife, and then they switch bodies.
Oh.
And now she's in this like strong, almost superhuman serial killer body, and she has to go try to stop the serial killer that's now in her body.
Okay.
It's very funny. It's just like trying to talk to your friends, but in serial killer body as they're throwing stuff at you and running away. See if it just came out to like you have to because it was going to kind of be into theaters. So since it couldn't do that, it's the thing where you have to like pay to watch it. See, yeah. So the person who plays the serial killer is Vince Vaughn, and he's very hilarious as trying to be a teenage girl in a serial killer's body. Aside from that, I'm trying to think. I was watching something else. I'm watching some other like animes and shows and stuff. And yeah.
Sorry.
My brother got COVID for Christmas, so it's just going.
I mean, it will hopefully have mostly cleared up by actually Christmas.
Yeah.
For all of you, actually, if you caught it.
Yep. I hope I didn't catch it. Also, I probably have it though, to some extent. I might be asymptomatic. Yeah,
I mean, I think everyone is asymptomatic for like a week.
Mm-hmm.
That was the big problem with it.
Yeah. I think that's it for me. I can't think of anything off the top of my head to talk about. I had something, but I forgot, so I might just chime in later with what it was. But
I'm trying to remember whether there was anything I did other than the things that I said. I got nothing.
Slicer, how's it going?
Yeah. Pretty good. I did D&D yesterday. I'm the shop changed things, so now we schedule games a month in advance. So I'm basically a part-time employee since I'm scheduled every Saturday. So that was an interesting change. I'm not sure if I'm all about it because that does take away my Saturday evenings essentially.
My Saturday evenings have been taken away for years.
Yeah, that's fair. But that before it was my choice. If I had an idea for a campaign, I would, say, "Hey, I DM next week," and then it would happen. So now I have to actually come up with things, and I'm not. It's a big weakness of mine that I cannot come up with ideas flat out, just from scratch. I'm much better at modifying existing ideas. So it's not really a surprise that most of my campaigns are derivative of things.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I ran players through Seath's archive, the Duke's archive, from Dark Souls. That went okay, but they almost died several times, and I had to
it's Dark Souls.
dial back combat quite severely. But I didn't expect two of the party members, the biggest damage dealers, to just fuck off. So I'm not taking blame for that one.
In one of my recent battles that happened, 2 players died and a third got kidnapped.
Oh, fun. I assume they tried, though. I mean, they were trying.
I think that the mage and their choice to animate object instead of fire off a big AoE spell on the zombie horde I think that might have been a bit of a problem.
Yeah, yeah. It's really. I've learned it's very difficult to fine tune combat encounters because sometimes people just don't play smart, and if you don't design encounters to work with players that are optimized or whatever, then the players who are will be bored. And that's most of what we have is, I mean, people know how to play their characters by now. But yeah, so the game went fairly well last night, but I had a problem with one of the players is they're not that person because they are a girl. I can't call her that guy, but that type of person, but they are playing a character who is abrasive in the scatterbrained, annoying kind of pixie dream girl kind of way. So there are 5 pirate factions because they were going to what is essentially a neutral ground bar, and there's a bunch of factions there. And I got through describing 3 of the factions before she interrupted me and decided to go up and peck at one of the factions, which is playing a Kenku. So it's just a bunch of things like that where it's like I can't finish setting the scene before I get interrupted.
The thing when that happens to me, I'm like, let me finish, and then we can get back to you.
That's I have done that as a player. It, in hindsight, is annoying, and it's kind of rude. So you need to put a pin in that.
Because there is a point when when players can interrupt, and then there's a point where they shouldn't.
Yeah. No. I don't know what was up last night. I dropped the ball in a lot of little ways like that. I guess I was so focused. Like, I pretty much had to make everything. So
yes,
I was mentally exhausted by the time I actually started playing. But I'm definitely going to treat it as a learning experience. That it was. I actually got complaints for the first time as a DM, and that didn't feel good.
You can take a lot of inspiration from things to kind of help you out. But also, if people are more used to the sort of standard modules, you can kind of model your stuff off that slightly.
Yeah, for the naval stuff. This was completely like one of the players is like, "Hey, I want to play a pirate. Can you do boat stuff?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And so I just made a bunch of stuff. The go-to plan before that was to make a kind of Ruin Explorer guild, and then I was going to model it all after Rise of the Rune Lords, which is a Pathfinder module that I have the book for.
Yes.
So that was the plan, and then it got derailed immediately. So, oh well.
Because I've been DMing in my own original world now for quite some time, and it takes a lot of work to set all that up and to set up factions and characters and how certain aspects of this world work. So when it comes down to how I kind of build those adventures is one sort of strategy I can kind of offer you is present a bunch of options for players, and whichever one they decide to choose, that's the one you start actually really building for.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have everything planned for like 3 dungeons ahead or anything when I start a session. I'm like, what are the players going to do? I've given them like 3 different quests, and if need be, I can start throwing stuff at them like off the cuff to either slow their progress or to adjust the pacing so that way I have time to actually prepare the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is the shop. I think I described it before. The shop made a town, and that's where all the players live now.
Mm-hmm.
And we start and stop your adventures there, and the town has factions. But that's a lot to design all at once.
Yes.
And yeah, so we're kind of struggling a little bit on that front. No one really knows what's been designed yet, and yeah.
So in the case of factions, the only aspects of the factions you have to make is what are the relationships, and then maybe a character lower on the rung that the party would interact with, and then the character at the top of the rung. Everything else you can work out later.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing. Make like, I don't know, 3 members basically: leader, side guy, other person, depending on what the organization is.
3 characters, sometimes only 1 character if that particular faction is a little bit more secretive and keeps their distance. You use little tricks like that.
So I just have to sit down and do that. I'm also trying to design the town guard, so that's not even that difficult, honestly. Most town guards don't really have a lot of importance. So
there's the captain of the guard, and then that's it.
Pretty
Everybody
much,
else is just generic guard.png.
That is the current plan. It's just the head of the watch, and maybe the guy that recruits them, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you can improvise. So,
yeah, I am really happy. The session ended. The session existed because, as I mentioned, one of the players wanted to be a pirate or a privateer or a naval person in general. And he's working really above and beyond to play a character for once and have a backstory and stuff like that. So I want to reward him, and so I gave him a living ship. It is it is essentially a mimic that its organic bits exist in an extra dimensional space until it's called upon. Otherwise, it's just a regular boat that can make noises sometimes. And if it decides to take a big chomp out of another boat mid combat, it takes double damage because its vulnerable bits are exposed, but it can heal itself.
That's actually really interesting.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
I had the idea before I remembered I had seen it, but they do have a similar concept in one of the Team 4-Star podcast groups. Roll With Me, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a mimic ship, but it's kind of a coincidence, really. This is one of the few things I have not based off of something else. I actually did have the idea. So, but players were happy about it. Zach is the guy's name, is the pirate player. He was really excited about it, so I'm really happy.
A boat jumping other boats is a really cool concept.
Yeah, I love that. Playing around with magical items in general was great.
I described it as when they first looked at the boat, it looked like a piece of shit because it was left to rot, basically, because it was dangerous because it's living and it has but it
could literally eat the entire crew if it decided I'm hungry.
That's actually a thing. The quality boats have a quality in D&D, which describes the crew's disposition, the quality of the ship, the maintenance, your supply level, things like that. This ship also will get murderously angry if that number falls below a certain point. So yeah, it could eat players if they don't take care of it. When I was describing the ship, I described it as a piece of shit, but there is no structural weaknesses to it. All the wood is cosmetically damaged. It's rotten. It's in poor quality, but it's functional. And it has sockets for flotation gems, and it has the leftover remnants of a rune circle to make it go underwater. So it has potential. I want them to build on it, but it's not good right now. But I felt like that was the good mix of not just starting them off with like a warship.
Yeah, I have done something very similar for a quest, not for D&D, obviously.
Yeah. So I think I used keel haul stats, the keel boat thing. So like the smallest boat.
Yeah, I remember in my game the characters wanted an airship, right? And they had stolen one earlier, and it had crashed super hard, and then got taken away by giant monsters.
Ooh.
And so they were in like the land of the giants. So they hired some giants to help them go retrieve the ship, and then they brought it to like a giant blacksmith who then fixed it up all nice. And I let the players actually design the ship itself and the interior, how they're going to allocate the space, because I gave them dimensions to work with, and they came up with like a really really nice diagram of like each individual floor as well.
Huh. That's pretty
So
cool.
I love being able to do stuff like that where they went for it. It was very difficult. Somebody almost died, but they got a nice reward out of it that they had a lot of input in creating.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. I might have honestly the player Zach might do something like that. He might design it himself. Just take the initiative.
Hmm.
I'm not sure.
Always present that option for like character customization stuff, because it's always just a ton of fun to see what players come up with.
Hmm.
I remember in my high powered game, I presented a bag of magical melding. It lets you put in two items that are rare quality or below, and it fuses them into one item over a period of time.
Okay, I could see that leading to some really insane results.
So it allowed them to create a lot of their own magical items by combining different items, and even cosmetic items by combining different items that are mundane. You know, character customization stuff in D&D is great.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And with the town being what it is, we definitely want to encourage that. But I don't think I've. Oh right. I started replaying State of Decay 2 because I wanted to. I started to replay Morrowind because I wanted to get ideas for dungeons, but this was before I had the idea for the Rune Lords thing. And I did get some ideas. I have some quest lines in mind, so that was good. But we had an old Game Pass thing laying around for the Xbox, and that was the hope, was that I could just use that and I would get Morrowind for free instead of having to buy it again. Downside is no, Morrowind is not on Game Pass, so I still had to buy the game. But they did have a couple games I've been replaying, and it's been nice. So, because of my shitty internet, I tend to play older games, older single-player games that are not likely to have updates anymore. They're all done. And so, State of Decay 2 is a pretty old game by this point. I mean, it's a couple years old, I want to say.
Yeah.
And so I started it up last night to replay it or start playing it. I had built a settlement before. I played for a couple hours a couple days ago, and it had an 8 gigabyte update.
Yep.
Why?
Because they're still fixing shit.
Yeah, it's not fixing. They're adding difficulties. Although they might have fine-tuned some things as well. But they added some weapons and equipment as well. They did things. I mean, I'm not upset that they added new content. It's just I'm annoyed that I had to wait 12 hours to play a game instead of, last night when I wanted to.
Is it any good?
The main problem I had with it when I first started playing it, when it was first released, was that cars have gas, which is stupid. It's realistic, but it's stupid. That's still a thing. It's still a problem. So it's middling, I guess. I mean,
resource management that's kind of unnecessary like that is irritating.
Yes.
Especially when it's a resource specifically meant to aid you in exploring.
Yeah. It's also a game that does not have a mainline campaign. It is entirely, you go into the map, you basically farm the place dry, and then you reset the map, and it makes it harder. You just keep doing that gameplay loop over and over and over again. I'm sure I think there are different maps. Like I'm in like a rural country town right now, so there might be an incentive to do more. I'm not sure. I don't know. If you don't like zombie games and survival games, it's probably not for you. I mean, I'm just playing it 'cause it's here.
I will admit the weakest part of State of Decay 1 was the main plot of it, or at least even trying to have a structured plot to it.
State of Decay has a plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It has a plot, and it has a few very specific story beats that it wants you to do that you would feel a lot better if they were Radiant rather than just very specific characters doing very specific things.
Yeah,
like there's a whole one where it's like, if you still have, I think it was one of the characters you get at the beginning of the game, the first guy's friend or something, and a priest, I want to say, and one of them gets sick, and it's like, okay, we have to get rid of him or we have to blow his brains out, and this only happens for if you have those characters, those specific characters. Otherwise, it's just not a thing.
Yeah, that's that is one of the things they did improve, quote unquote, is it was the Black Fever, I think they called it in the first game.
Yeah.
Your characters you would only get that if you were like super infected. By which you took a lot of damage and you were unlucky to get the chance to get this thing. So that could happen to other people, but it only happened once canonically, which was kind of weird. This game has plague zombies that they're covered in gore, and they have glowing red eyes. And if they hit you, they'll infect you with a fever. And if that progresses to the top of the bar, which takes like 20 minutes, then you get red plague. And the same thing happens, basically. Yeah, it's much better handled in this game. You can, like, as long as you park that survivor immediately in the infirmary, they heal from it. But, yeah. I assume the severity of it definitely depends on the difficulty as well.
So is it fun, like, clearing the map and building a base and stuff? I assume the base doesn't carry over to, like, a recycled map.
No, if it's anything like breakdown mode from the first game, you probably you take your main hero that you're using, your main character, and then maybe like 2 of your guys that you have with you, and then what they have on them, and like a generic set of equipment, and then you restart with, I don't know, 10 of every resource or something. One of the biggest problems in this game is when you build a base, you only have like 4 slots to upgrade it with. And every base has different slots and different things that are already part of it, so you can get a little boost already. Like I'm in a our garage or something like that. It's like a strip mall, but it has a garage already. So I can repair cars very easily, which is not bad. But I only have so much space to do things with, so there is no ideal base location where I can build everything. And that feels stupid. That feels terrible, because I can't make multiple outposts. I can't make multiple home bases to then, even if I have to spread them apart, I can't have everything at once.
Yeah, it's not a game designed for the sake of building everything up and making everything perfect. It's making everything as good as it needs to be to get through and get everything and then get to the next map, right?
But that's the problem, is if it was designed like that, it would be better. The game is designed with the assumption that you have every type of thing you can build. The game assumes I have a workshop at all times, but I had to destroy my workshop to make an infirmary so my characters don't die. And
oh, that's frustrating.
And I assume it's going to assume that I have a garage at some point, because cars eventually will become scarce and fuel is limited. But if I were based anywhere else, I probably wouldn't have a garage because it takes up space. And I would be better spent having, like, I don't know, a well or a power plant or something. I mean, yeah. You can mitigate the damage by making outposts, which, if you make an outpost out of a substation, you get power. If you have like a water tower and you turn that into an outpost, you get water. So you can mitigate these things a little bit, but it's just not good. That there needs to be at least one base location in every map that is just the location. And I don't care if it costs a bunch of resources to settle into it, but that's what this game needs. Otherwise, it's just frustrating to play in the long term. But I mean, it's fun for a little while.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and that was a problem that persisted in the first game too. There was a location that was the best, but it wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
It had the most building slots, but you still couldn't get everything.
Yep. I remember that.
Yeah, and the downside was that near the end of the game, in the first game, that town you don't go back to it, really. It's like a town in the bottom left of the map, and all of the missions take place in the top right. So it's a good thing that game didn't have gas, because, oh boy, you would have ran out of gas every time you wanted to do a mission.
Yeah. Yeah, but, it probably would be better if it was like, there is the perfect place, but it's a place you can only get to after you've already built a base elsewhere that has been able to generate some resources for you.
Yeah, kind of, I mean, I had to do that with the garage. I was settled in like an old church to start with, or something like that.
How nostalgic! That's basically the first game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was intentional.
Yeah.
Because it was part of the tutorial, so it settled it for me.
But, right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, in order to make an outpost out of a substation to get power, because it's such a good thing to have electricity running through your base, it costs 2,000 influence. Doing a quest gives me 200. Killing a horde gives me 50. So it cost a lot just to get power. So I wouldn't mind if the base cost, a lot of resource or whatever. So that's I'm not a stranger to that concept in this game. Yeah, it's just irritating. It's double frustrating because this is a game that the creators have listened to their audience. They constantly talk about player feedback. They have what seems to be very active forums. But I cannot believe that someone has not thought to suggest that, of just a better building location. But all they're focused on is making the game more difficult.
Yeah, see, that's a weird spiral that people get into in forums and stuff.
Yeah, because the people that are in the forums are the people that are the most dedicated, which means they're the people with the most playtime, which means they're bored of the content that's already there.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten used to all the cruft of the game and don't care about it anymore, whereas the people that aren't playing the game are the ones they're trying to get to now.
You see the same thing happening in like D&D forums when people talk about D&D stuff, and it's always just like, make it more difficult, do this, do that. It's like, this is not helping. My players are new.
Yeah, I mean, most campaigns are very low level. Like, it's constantly talked about how there's like almost no campaigns that go above like 11th level, because no one does that. It's really complicated at that point.
Our players at the shop are level 11. I can attest to that. It's
the
so
players,
hard to do combat.
The players in my Saturday game are at level 18.
Ooh, that's rough.
It's a high power game, which means I give them
you
super powerful stuff, and I'm going to throw super powerful stuff at them, and they'll likely beat it, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, it was very specifically designed to be a high level thing that you just start at the top kind of thing. Well, not top, but...
Well, no. They start at level 2.
How long has the game been running?
2.5 years.
Yeah. So, like, there's just not many players that are going to see content like that. It's just not going to happen.
Unless you're going to start at a high level thing, which I like to do one-shots with characters at higher levels every and then. Because that's just fun. That's just fun to play with.
It's a novelty. I mean, Yeah. Also, then you've got the other opposite end of like, hey, we're gonna do like a challenge thing where all the players are level 1 and they're gonna go against some bullshit stuff. Like, I mean, yeah, you can
Yeah.
do that. Like, it is the game is so malleable for players and for dungeon masters that you can just do whatever. Like, if you want the game to be harder, chuck more difficult stuff at low level players and see how they handle it.
I
Like,
will admit I've wanted to play a peasant game for a long time.
yes, that would be
Like,
pretty fun.
like I've heard of I think it was Rutskan. He's like a video game writer and other stuff that he does on the side. He played in a game that was like, I think it was a bunch of first level players against a vampire or something.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So they had to be really fucking clever with how they planned to fight that thing. And yeah, apparently, well, according to him, like it's not like I have first-hand experience, but it was like a really fun, challenging thing to do. And if you want difficult gameplay, then D&D is really easy to make more difficult or more easy.
One of the things I mentioned, I had that encounter where multiple players died, one got kidnapped. The quote unquote boss character dimension doored out of the warehouse they were in, right? So they're like, okay, no, the boss just kind of effed off for now. When in reality, what the boss had done was had teleported behind them because the spellcaster was at the back, and the spellcaster had tried to attack the boss with a spell.
Oh, I see.
So the boss teleported somewhere where they could hide and then do a sneak attack and just take out that character and kidnap them. While the others were dealing with loads of undead. Like, tactics is one way you can really screw with your players, is kind of subverting their expectations with things that they weren't expecting, because usually you go into these things with a video game mentality.
I will admit one of the other DMs at the shop is a guy named Gunter, and he does things that are like 15 plus players, which turn into more of a board game. I think I've mentioned it before.
Yeah.
But I was playing at one of those tables because I was still a player at the time for the most part, and his table was the leftover table essentially. So it was a bunch of people, and we were fighting this army of undead, and I was my celestial warlock at the time, and I launched like a guiding bolt at the undead guy, and he just like deflected it. I expected it to do double damage because it's radiant damage, and he's undead, and he just like opened a portal and deflected it to one of his own minions. I hadn't ran into an enemy that would account for their own weakness before, as crazy as that sounds, in D&D.
And that's something that you should always consider, is that when you're a DM and you're building encounters, if you're making intelligent enemies, that's already going to up the difficulty a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to expect the stuff that your players are going to throw at them. They're going to target the healer first, stuff like that.
Yeah.
In my high power game, the mage, the wizard, the high level wizard, is wearing full plate armor because multi-class from fighter into wizard. So, not going to target her because, oh, that's a fighter. No, wait, it's a wizard. You know, kind of a counter plan thing, because you expect. In fact, all the healers in my high power game are all wearing plate armor. What's going on?
Well, I mean, that is the thing a lot of healing classes can do.
Yeah. They're heavily armored and like have weapons for like melee, so it's very hard to differentiate them from the rest of the group. Normally they would be more fragile.
Mm-hmm. I have done that before, actually. At the start of a session, I tend to ask people what their characters are equipped with, so enemies can look at them and tell, oh, this one's squishy. He has robes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've tried to alter enemy behavior to match that, what they're seeing, essentially, not just not just numbers.
Lair
Avoiding
actions are
meta
also really fun. Like
Sorry, what was
messing
that?
with lair actions are also really fun. Like messing with terrain, and like if you're in a base of the bad guy, they pull a lever and their traps go off or their self defense things go off, and players have to react to changing conditions.
I will admit I have to start using those more often. Then again, I haven't really had players fight a lot of beasts in a lair or whatever,
Mhm.
or things in, but technically anything is a lair. I mean,
Technically, anything is layer. So, say for example, you're in a naval campaign, they board another boat. Well, that boat has maybe things the captain can do with lair actions to order his crew around, to change aspects of the ship to make it more difficult.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff you can do to catch your players off guard. And one thing I had to learn how to do was how to have enemies retreat to go get reinforcements.
Yeah, that is another thing, definitely. I've started designing enemies with either a go-to method of escape or just having them open to the idea of running away if they're fighting, a superior force, which is the party.
Because it does get boring if the fight just turns into we're going to stand here and just keep hitting each other until one of us goes down.
I did
Yeah,
that once. It is very stupid and boring, and I wish I hadn't done it.
yeah, yeah. Especially if it's very obvious pretty quickly which side is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Unless that's one of the first things in the session last night I had was they ran into a little goblin child on the way to the bar, and he asked if they could clear out a boar encampment that was threatening his tribe. So just a little quick combat encounter. I think the combat lasted like 2 rounds because they were just boars.
Yeah, like it's really hard to fight a dragon because the dragon can just I'm just gonna go fly over there and then breathe on you far, and I'm gonna move around and have a lot of mobility that I can just flex on you with.
Yeah, yeah. Unless players are really prepared to fight a dragon, they have so many things that they just stay at range, and then they just breathe on things.
Just flex on
They
you.
have pretty much. They have so many ways to just kill the party without them being able to do anything about it.
Uh, I love that. Like we started with the Gym Rat Dragon, now it's just come back to Gym Rat Dragon
Yeah,
through a
pretty much.
completely different path.
And yet it's still just as irritating.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's about everything for me. I haven't done anything else I want to say. I started watching some anime, but none of them have. I think I talked about Talentless Nana last time.
Yeah.
I also watched Sleepy Princess, which is a princess is captured by a Dark Lord, and the entire anime is about her just trying to sleep. In
Oh,
this
there's an
castle.
anime for that now.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, I read the manga. It's just like she's normally kind of overworked and burdened with responsibility. So when she's been kidnapped, she's like, I can finally sleep. Thank
Yeah.
goodness. I'm gonna make this the most comfortable sleep time that I can get while I'm captured.
Mm-hmm. And the story isn't shy about like straight up killing her. She's died several times because she's like just falls in lava, or I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen the episodes where she died.
It's the classic like Dragon Quest sort of thing, where it's just like, oh, we'll just revive her.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very wholesome manga / anime.
It is very good. I fully recommend it. I forget the actual full name, but just Google
Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's me.
Watch that. All right. Awesome. I can't think of anything else to say, so maybe we should do our Patreon. All right. I want to say thank you to all of you who have donated to our Patreon. Thank you to Sailor of House Thunderbird. Sailor of House Thunderbird for your $1 donation. Thank you very much. Vale, thank you for your $10 donation. Boy by Fresh, thank you for your $20 donation. Thank you to Ryu for your $3.50. Thank you to Greek Guy for your $1 donation. Thank you to Ethan F for your $10 donation. Thank you to Bomb BCM for your $20 donation. Thank you to the Crossbrain for your $10 donation, and thank you to Troper for your $5 donation. As always, I know it's tough times we're in, but hey, we're gonna do our best to make sure that we can get content out to you.
Mm-hmm. It's this time of year is rough for scheduling, but we're trying to make do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a bunch of the past couple of months. I've had a bunch of expenses kind of pile up all at once, and I've genuinely been concerned that I would run out of gas money. And the $20 that I get for this has helped a shocking amount, actually. So I really appreciate anything you guys can, because it is rough times right now. I mean,
because I have to wait for a COVID test, so I can't substitute teach, and I likely won't be able to substitute teach for the rest of the year because Christmas break and all that, and they pay monthly, so that plus Christmas present expenses and money. Hey, America. I heard about these things called stimulus checks in other countries. Apparently, they get them every month. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
They do. That's actually news to me, but I don't know whether I would count for those in Britain, even if they did do them. I don't think they do. I don't know.
Might be worth looking into, but America was just like, we give out one stimulus check, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
And that was like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Yep. And I keep getting Yahoo keeps sending me newsletters. I don't know how to turn that off, and I don't really care, but I keep getting word that they're not including stimulus checks in the stimulus bill that they're suggesting. They keep throwing that part out. And by they, I mean the Republican.
No, don't worry about it. The rich people will open all their businesses again. You'll be able to go back to work and everything will be all okay. Because the rich people will fix it. Yeah. They've always got your back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm left just grateful that other places are doing better.
I'm hungry.
I am too.
Food would be nice, actually.
I got some Scotch eggs. Yeah.
I think maybe we should end the episode. I think we're running out of stuff to, and we're all kind of hungry.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good plan.
So, thanks for listening to the podcast, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Public Discord in the description. Link is there. It's everybody. We hang out and stuff.
Yeah, I jumped into voice chat for the first time in a long time last night.
Oh, yeah, I saw you on that. I don't remember what I was doing, but it was something else and probably important. I don't know. Who knows? And Patreon is a thing that we also have. Zero talked about it a minute ago. Link in the description and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So bye, everybody.
Bye.